Hey, in this week's video, I just wanted to kind of give you an overview if you're a new patient on a GLP-1 medication, just kind of what you can expect in those first few weeks. If you don't know me, I'm Michelle Clay. I'm a family nurse practitioner specializing in medical weight loss, particularly with GLP-1 medications. So I know that landscape currently is changing a lot, but there are some that are still available, so I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. There's just too much demand for these. Anyway, so what we do in my practice is we do we call it microdosing. So we really like to start people at a very small dose that really helps with managing side effects. Most of my patients don't have any side effects, and those that do, they're very mild. And then generally, after the first few doses, they typically go away to where they don't have any at all. So the first week, I just let my patients know not to expect much. A lot of times, that first dose is does you're like, I can't even tell I took anything. I always tell my patients it doesn't mean it won't work for you. I just like to start super small because some people are super sensitive. You never know who that might be, and can be very sick if you start on more of a traditional regular dose. So, not feeling anything really doesn't mean anything. And the majority of patients, I would say, that first week don't really notice much. Um, then on the week 2 to 3, you may start feeling a little bit. The medications do build up in your system because they have a long half life. So, 5 days to a week, and then so that when you take your second injection, you still have some of that week before in your system. So it does have a buildup. So it starts gradually. And so I usually tell patients they'll begin to notice, like, I didn't finish my plate and I'm okay with that. Or I didn't snack today. I didn't feel like I needed to snack. Just kind of some subtle changes to where you're maybe not thinking about food quite as much, just slowly starting to kind of get into your system. One thing to I tell patients at the beginning is to be sure not to overeat. I always give the example that before I took these medications, because I take them myself, I could go to Mexican, my favorite, and order chicken chimichanga, also my favorite. And I would get the meal and I would have rice and refried beans, the chimichanga, and of course, chips and salsa. Prior to GLP-1s, I could eat all of that plus chips and salsa. Now, I would be really full at the end of the meal, like, "Ugh, phew, I'm stuffed," but I could do it. After starting on GLP-1 medications, if you do that, if you tend to overeat, um, it's still possible, but you'll either be A, super miserable, or B, throw up, just because it won't fit. Your digestive tract is slowed down. You can't fit as much in there. So I just caution people to be extra careful at the beginning. Also, you kind of want to avoid like greasy food, just foods that are bad for you in particular, because they a lot of times will make you feel worse. So it's kind of can be a good thing, especially if you are really addicted or eat a lot of junk food and sugary food, because a lot of times those foods in particular, when you eat them when you're on a GLP-1, they just don't sit well with your system. So it can help kind of change those food habits. So that was week 2 or 3. Then after about a month to 6 weeks or so, things are going to start to pick up. That's when you can start to maybe see some pounds coming off on the scale. I always tell people not to just go by the scale because, it's not always the best indicator, but it takes a while. Some people get in their head that, oh, I took a shot and I should lose weight tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. You have to take enough of the medication for it to build up enough in your system that it in a high enough of a dose that it is starting to reduce your appetite, because that's what ultimately leads to your weight loss. It's not the medication itself, it's the result of the medication, which is telling your brain you're full, slowing down your digestion, and helping your liver process glucose more effectively. So you've got to get enough to see the results on the scale. So it usually takes a little bit. It usually takes a few weeks before it's enough in your system that you're going to see it on the scale. I always tell my patients I do not want them to lose more than 2 pounds a week on average. Losing weight quicker than that for any reason has health risk, and we want to avoid that. Um, so then after that, you're kind of in a groove. You've gotten used to the medication. You should have, for my patients, kind of got their sweet spot dose figured out for what they need. I dose my patients where they just take enough to reduce their appetite, not eliminate it, and have a slow, kind of steady weight loss. So you should be kind of in that groove by then, and then starting to work on some other habits. I always have my patients really focus on protein, and pairing some intermittent fasting with their GLP-1 medications. So that's just kind of general overview of kind of a beginner's guide, what I kind of go over with my patients. If you have any questions, just link them below or ask them below, and I'll get back to you.